Guys, the FPS MMO genre of games has been primarily dominated by Destiny for the last decade. And whilst Bungie tries to figure out if they want to call their game an MMO or not, it's pretty much been the only option out there for players who are interested in this type of game. Even though you do have games like Warframe and The Division, these are both third-person shooters, which can be a major turnoff for some players. But it now seems that finally the call for a new first-person MMO-style game is being answered. But will both these new games find success? Will one dominate the other? Or will they both follow in the footsteps of their predecessors and be just another game to throw onto the ever-growing graveyard of similar titles? So to start things off here, let's talk about the Cube, which just by looking at the trailer you can already see heavy Destiny inspiration with its massive floating shape of choice. But where the Traveler in Destiny 2 is the source of the player's power and seen in the story as a great protector, the Cube seems to be going in the complete opposite direction, as it seems that this cube won't just be a shape in the sky, but will be the main area players will explore within the game. It is also shown to have rotating rows and edges, each with their own unique biomes, which could lead to multiple unique combinations of these areas for players to explore. By looking at just the trailer, the cube itself seems to have three main sections that just rotate around, but by going to their official website and taking a look at some of the screenshots of this cube, it begins to look more like a Rubik's Cube with like little smaller sections within each of the larger faces of the cube, which means that if this cube is able to rotate like a Rubik's Cube does, then that would lead to a heck of a lot more potential biome combinations, which has me very interested as it could lead to basically a different area to explore almost all the time. Now let's take a step back from this cube and talk about what this game actually has to offer. So the cube is being developed by Mundfish, the same devs that made Atomic Heart. Now I haven't played that game, so you guys will need to let me know if it's any good or not. Either way, this new game will be set within the same universe as Atomic Heart and is said to have a new, deep, impactful narrative where the world stands on the brink of a new threat, that being this giant cube. And in order to save humanity, players must plunge deep into its secrets and survive. The cube will also apparently have, quote, rich exploration and a massive world, end quote, with vast expanses and diverse biomes to explore, each filled with quests and hidden secrets. In terms of progression, it's said to be, quote, deep and persistent, end quote, with constant character development and customization that rewards individual playstyles. And combat is said to be intense and have tactical depth, with dynamic battles and a wide choice of weapons and skills. Now all of that sounds really good, but I will personally need to wait for a more in-depth reveal, be it a live stream or a second trailer, before I'm 100% sold on this game. We only got a little bit of gameplay in this reveal, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what else this game has to offer. But in general, the premise and overall look does pique my interest, so when a new trailer drops or a new live stream becomes available, I'll definitely be checking it out. Moving on to the second game though for today's video, let's talk Pioneer, which does seem to be a little further into its development, with it just having ended its closed beta. So this game first off looks very different, so if you're a fan of a more gritty or realistic art style, then this one might be for you. In terms of its story, this world seems to be affected by something called the Blue Tide, and the island you're on sinks into more darkness because of it. So your goal is to find the cause of the catastrophe, which could hopefully lead to your salvation. Now, from what I'm reading on the website here, I'm getting maybe a hint of survival elements to this game, as it says you'll need to build outposts, improve equipment, and establish trade routes, but that'd just be me reading too deep into it. Also, it mentions that the outcome of expeditions depends entirely on you, because, quote, the game features over 50 handcrafted quests and elaborate stories. Some of them may contain difficult morale dilemmas or choices that affect the outcome of the quest, end quote. Now for me, this is a feature I kinda wish Destiny had, as there are some times in the story where I'm like, I would have interacted with that character differently, or done this thing completely differently. So seeing that this game has this feature has me very interested in seeing just how different the story gets depending on your choices. Another unique feature this game has is its Shadowlands zones. Now, if you have played The Division, you'll recognize this immediately as a dark zone where PvP is enabled, and you'll actually be able to kill other players and take their loot from them. So think like a mini extraction shooter almost. Although do note that this is limited to a specific zone, so if you do not want to PvP or have your loot be taken, you don't have to. It's just a feature that the game has for those who want it. But alongside other players' items, you'll also find some, quote, rare and valuable equipment, end quote, in these zones as well. So it's a very high risk, high reward option for those who want that. But fingers crossed that this Shadowlands zone isn't the end game zone for this game. Hopefully there are things like raids and dungeons for those PvE minded players. Alongside this, the game also seemingly has a wide range of different factions for you to align yourself with, and the game will also have different character roles, like Bandit, Caravan Guard, and Explorer, just to name a few. Sadly, there isn't any showcase of what these different roles have to offer on their websites, but there is a lot of different weapons and enemies that you can look at for yourself if you are interested. So I'll have it linked in the description to the website, as well as a link for the Cube's website as well. Now, me personally, I low-key really like the look of the Cube, as it seems to have quite a few elements that are very similar to Destiny, and I feel like the Destiny player base might end up being the main group of people that Mundfish target this game towards. So if that ends up being the case, I really hope that it doesn't end up like all the other games that have tried to follow in Bungie's footsteps. The games that immediately come to mind include the likes of Anthem, The First Descendant, and even Outriders. Now those were all third-person games, similar to Warframe and The Division, but they all kind of had similar things to Destiny going on and didn't really stick the landing that I think they wanted to. Also, Anthem, I really did enjoy that game, but obviously the developers didn't have a real plan, it seemed, on how to support it for the long term, and the end game wasn't really all that good. So fingers crossed Mundfish learns from all of the mistakes that all these past games have had, so that then they're not making the same mistakes, so then they can, fingers crossed, actually create some competition for Bungie. And in terms of Pioneer, I feel like this game may be more targeted towards those who preferred The Division, as that game didn't really have classes like Destiny did, and everything that made up your class, so to speak, was down to your equipment and skill tree selections. Alongside the optional PvP and more realistic look of the game, I don't feel like many Destiny players will be that interested unless they really like the art style or were big fans of The Division. Either way, I really do hope that these games end up being some level of competition for Bungie, as Bungie has basically been untouchable in this market now for going on 10 to 11 years, which can lead to them getting too comfortable in their current position and can even make them a little bit complacent when it comes to evolving the genre as a whole. But that's just my thoughts, and would love to hear what you guys have to think in the comments. And whilst you're there, if you enjoyed the video, if you could leave a like and subscribe to the channel, I'd very much appreciate it, as we're getting closer and closer to 2,000 subscribers, and it would be so cool if we could reach that goal. Either way, that's it from me here today, so once again I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.